Well, it was a truly exciting season for the CPCA, but the CPCA Finals have finished up, and now we're here today to talk about a bit of a wrap-up of what happened at the CPCA Finals and talk about some of our award winners. Today we have the radio voice, Greg Buchanan, here today to talk to us once again about CPCA, and this will be the last interview we've had for a little while here, Greg, but I'm looking forward to, hopefully next year we'll talk a bit. But let's talk about our champion driver, as well as our safe driver champion, and Todd Baptiste. He had an excellent season and, of course, ended up getting the W in the CPCA Finals on that championship Sunday.
Yeah, I think there's a few different storylines for Todd coming into this, because when he started that 5-day show back on Wednesday, he was only 3.5 points up on Luke Tournier for that fourth and final spot for the dash. So he had some work to do just to get into that dash, and so he had to be fast, he had to be clean, and he was a combination of that. So just to get into Sunday, and he gets into Sunday, and the way that he wins it, it's amazing, because we were talking throughout the radio broadcast for those 5 days of the track record was set by Wayne Knight back in 2006, and we were flirting with it at times, came close at times. Jamie Labicane came close on Thursday, 0.08 of a second off the track record, and then Todd Baptiste blows that track record away. So he wins the Canadian Championship. He breaks a track record that dates all the way back to 2006, and he wins it all. So great to see, and it was a great race at the end.
And speaking of Jamie Labicane, he was, of course, the aggregate champion during the finals. As well, he was the year-end high point champion and the Fans' Choice Award. So certainly, you know, he probably would have wanted to end up winning that, but a very successful season for him once again.
Oh, yeah, you have to look at it as a great success for Jamie Labicane. Didn't win that one race, didn't win the Canadian Championship dash, but what he won as a high point driver of the year, that is a harder championship to win than that one race. For Jamie Labicane to win the high point driver award, he was good for 3 months. He was good for the whole tour. For that is more difficult to do than what Todd did, but at the same time, regardless of a Canadian Championship coming up short for Jamie, it was a heck of a 2022 for him.
And then looking at some outriders, we haven't really talked about them a lot this year. The safe outrider and the Fans' Choice, that was Tyler McKenzie, and he was also the aggregate champion at the finals. And then, of course, Cale
Lajeunesse.
Yes, I should have got you the analogy there. He was also a really great rider out there. And then another high point outrider was Tegan LaRouche. He was one of the champions. And then
Logan Pethick.
Logan Pethick was the high point champion. So let's talk a little bit about how important those outriders have done, but how good they were throughout the year.
They were superb throughout the year. You know, outrider is, if you're a football guy, an outrider is like an offensive lineman in football. You don't really hear too much about the offensive lineman until there's a flag on the play. So you don't hear much about the outriders. If they're doing their job, you don't hear about them. You only hear about them when they're late or they don't load a stove or something goes wrong in the infield. But Logan Pethick was on top of the leaderboard for most of the season. Tyler McKenzie and him were kind of going back and forth, but they're unsung heroes. And you include Wyatt Dick, who was third in the outrider standings, and Tegan LaRouche, as you mentioned, wins a championship buckle. There's other guys like Quade Tournier, and we had an outrider get injured in Poundmaker, and Quinn Langevin. He had a lower body injury. He was out for the rest of the season, so we're kind of thinking of him as we're at the CPCA Finals this past week, that he wasn't there, but hopes to be back in the fold in 2023.
And looking a little bit forward to next season, but also just thinking about who are some younger out drivers this year who really surprised you being up in the rankings and moving forward. Names coming to mind like Preston Faithful was in that top 4 for the finals, and he was not really ranking up there previous seasons. Any other drivers that have really impressed you and you're looking forward to them as the seasons go on here?
Oh, I think, Preston's a prime example of that. He was a guy that you would think Preston would be a top 10 driver, not a top 4, but he showed throughout the season as he progressed, as he won the races, as he won shows, and he was in dashes that he was going to move up and he was going to be battling for a Canadian Championship. You know, Danny Rangette's always been kind of knocking on the door for that top 4. DJ King came a long way here this season. And Chris Flanagan had some great runs near the end. And also the top rookie driver was Jason McCollum, who overcame so much from horsepower to injuring his ankle in Onion Lake to cracking ribs in Poundmaker. But his horses found a way, and he was a top rookie driver, that is. And another guy is rookie driver is Kevin Desjardins, who comes from the Pony Chuck Wagons, was very consistent with Pony Chuck Wagons, had some great runs, including at the CPCA Final. So the future looks very well for the CPCA and the young drivers and the outriders in the association.
Yes, for sure. It's going to be yet another. It was an exciting finish this CPCA season, and we're certainly looking forward to next season. So for the last time, I've been Thomas Wildman, and this has been Greg Buchanan. And we'll see you guys next year for more CPCA action.